Hi, I'm Tony. What's your name?
Sarah.
Sarah, how long have you been married, and how many spouses?
37 years and my only spouse.
Wow. What kind of advice would you give to the younger generation?
Well, take it one day at a time and just enjoy it and be kind and truthful.
Oh, how do you resolve conflict and in your relationship?
Talk it out.
Talk it out.
This too shall pass. Remember, just don't sweat the little things.
What if your significant other had like a vice, maybe drinking or alcohol or drugs or some kind of, or internet or any kind of weird stuff? Well, how would you deal with that subject?
Well, I don't know. I never had to deal with that too much, so.
Oh, you got a great guy.
Yes, I do.
I got a great gal. We put it all in the Lord's hands. I don't know if that's okay to say that.
That's awesome.
Yes.
We believe in Jesus and His forgiveness and His grace to each other.
Wow, that's good. Let's see here. And then, what have you learned through the years from just so many years together?
We've learned a lot. We've learned how to deal with financial situations and like losing a job. And so we've dealt with a lot and learned a lot through that.
Yeah. Losing our house to foreclosure.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it all works out in the end. I mean, you just got to keep on treading on.
So having a similar faith is important?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yes, if you got different faiths, then it's going to make it a conflict in the house.
Yeah. Was it important that your husband's a breadwinner?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is.
Funny.
When we got married, though, he wasn't working. I was the only working person. He lost his job right before we got married, and
the story was I gave my big employer a wedding invitation, and he said, called me in the office the next day. He said, "You're a nice worker, Marvin, but I can't support you and a wife. So you got a month to go out there and find a job."
Oh,
yeah. And he didn't get his job until 3 days after we were married. So
I had to go what they call the sawmills, which I was trying to avoid, but that's where the money was in Humboldt County in '84, at least for me.
So if there's any kind of, how do you resolve conflict when you have an argument and whatnot?
We just talk it out and work it out.
Does the younger generation these days, they call it quits easier than, yeah, you're just committed? So.
Yeah, we're just committed. I don't believe in a divorce, and so.
Because my son's been divorced 3 times.
Ouch.
No, twice.
Twice.
Ouch.
So
okay.
He's on marriage number 3.
Getting a divorce puts more complications in it.
Right, right. Okay. Any other last words you want to tell my viewers? Let them know how to have a good relationship, make good marriage.
Wow, a lot of humor.
A lot of humor, a lot of laugh.
My humor sometimes drives her crazy, but sometimes you gotta laugh at things that happen.
Patience.
Awesome.
You gotta be patient with one another.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Jan. Thanks for this interview. How long have you been married together, and how many spouses?
I have one spouse. We got married in 1966. We've been married 55 years, and October 11th it'll be 56.
Okay. What are the pros and cons of, and you had how many kids?
We have 4 children.
Wow.
And they all work hard. We tried to set a good example and be considerate to each other.
Wow. What are the pros and cons of this relationship lasting so long?
Well, you have to say I'm sorry. Before my husband asked me to marry him, my grandmother gave me a gift for my hope chest. She opened her hand, and it was a little piece of paper she'd written on it. It says, "I'm sorry." Oh. We need to be able to be humble enough to say, I could be wrong. When you get married, it's not you. It's you two as one. It's compromise. It's caring. It's sharing. And it's not going out with the boys, going out with the girls. You two now are a unit. You're a family unit. And that's gone downhill because of the brainwashing we receive on TV and all these things. It's time for people to get back to caring about one another, because that's where it's at, respect. You've got to respect one another. You don't always agree. Two people can't live together for years and never disagree. If they say they don't, then they're brain dead.
How important was it that your husband had a job and was working?
Very important. He always worked hard. We both have worked very hard.
Oh, okay. That's great. What in the past do you see that you miss, that you don't see today about courtship and chivalry?
I see a lack of respect for young men to open a door for a woman, to say thank you. The total lack of respect and expectations, and talking right. You don't talk down to each other. That's just wrong.
Oh, that makes sense. What if the person has some kind of vice, maybe alcohol, drug abuse, internet abuse, any kind of weird stuff? How do you resolve the conflict?
You have to learn to say, I'm sorry. You learn to deal with it as a couple. Instead of being condemning, be uplifting, understanding, caring, and help them get through it. And ask yourself, why do they have that and what helped cause it? Okay. Many times there's inner emotional pain, there's things that go on. So people need to have a little more understanding and quit being all about themselves.
Was divorce ever an option?
Oh, heavens no.
Okay.
When I got married, it was for life. I told him, I said, marriage, yes. Divorce, never. Murder, yes.
That's true. That's great. Any other...
I haven't killed him in 55 years.
That's true. There's still time. That's true. Is any last words for the younger generation about dating and relationships?
I think instead of just being so anxious to hop in bed, you need to get to know each other. You need to get to see if you actually like each other's personalities. Do you have things in common? Are you willing to work together for the same goals? Now, I didn't grow up to be a cowgirl. I had other plans. My husband had other plans. But I ended up off of a farm, back onto a ranch, back onto a horse. And we melded together. So, I mean, it's like we took each of us the talents we had and we built. We've put 4 kids through school. We've managed to buy a home and pay for it 3 times. It was borrowed against to put them through college. But we aimed for the same goals, and we learned to say no to things that weren't necessary until now in my old age. If I want to be frivolous, maybe I'll get something silly. But many times you go to the store and it all sparkles and it's wonderful and you want to buy it and make payments. You're digging a hole that you can't get out of.
All right.
Tony,
you,
what's your name?
Alice Crone.
Alice. So, what kind of... Well, actually, first of all, how long you've been married now, and how many marriages, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I've been married 51 years.
One person?
One person. That's the only person.
Wow.
We got married in 71.
Wow.
1971.
What kind of advice do you give to young people that dating and relationships?
You know, right now you just have to give each other a chance. You know, people nowadays just don't believe in, you know, hanging with it. Your courtship and all of your marriage, your vows say from death do you part. That's really what it's supposed to be. 51 years haven't all been really, really good years.
Yeah.
You have to work between. I have found that you choose your fights. It's just not worth fighting anymore, you know. So Donnie and I just were, like I say, been married for 51 years, and we rarely fight.
So people quit too soon, you're saying?
They absolutely don't give it a chance.
When it gets rough, they just call it quits.
Just, you know, they just quit.
Oh.
And I was taught that it's, you know, obey your husband.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, as long as you work together, you're after the same goals and the same things. And I have 3 children. My children are all except one with the same mate that they got married to. So
how about putting up with their vices, whatever it may be, drinking or
well, you know,
internet or marijuana?
A sober person really can't put up with a drunk person.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you have things that you want to do, it's just a good thing that you like the same things that your partner likes. And I mean, Donnie and I, we do pretty much everything together. You know, we hold hands. You don't see people kissing or, you know, respecting one another.
Okay.
Like you used to.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, okay, that's what you don't see. You used to see that in your generation, but not as much anymore, huh?
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
don't. And respect. Respect is not there for your mate. You know, you're not always going to get along.
Yeah.
Everybody fights over whatever, you know, and you just have to learn to give and take.
Yeah, 51 years together, a long time.
It's a very long time, but actually, my situation, it doesn't seem like 51 years. That's my lifetime almost, you know.
Because you guys do things together,
Yes,
and
everything. We do everything together. The kids were always included.
Yeah.
And my husband had a race car, and all 3 of my children worked with him.
How about, did you have to provide financially? Was that a big factor? Or
No, I didn't. At that time, he was a millwright.
Yeah.
So, and he worked in the sawmills.
Oh.
And he got paid pretty good.
Uh-huh.
And with me, when I did work, when you're paying child care and all of that, I was finding I wasn't bringing that much home.
Okay.
I was spending a lot.
Yeah, he
you
took
know.
care of the family.
Yes, so
Cool.
he did. He took care of the family.
Cool.
And his hobbies that he had, he always did side jobs. He never took it from the family.
He was responsible.
Yep.
Okay.
Very much.
Cool. Well, if he was a homeless guy who had no job, would you still have married him?
I'm not sure my dad would have allowed me to.
Okay. Fair
You know,
enough.
he was very, very strict, and he expected a lot from Donnie.
Yeah.
And he told Donnie, if you can't take care of her, or if you better bring her home.
There you go. Any other piece of advice you want to give to the younger generation?
You know, just think of you being in the same situation. A lot of times I think they may blame one another and don't have the full story. Get the full story before you want to, you know.
Yeah. Just don't call it quits too soon.
No, you have to, you know, you have to work through all your trials and everything. And if you're willing to do that, then
if you're willing to. Some people just aren't willing to.
No,
they don't want to commit to it.
They don't. You know, and they don't blame themselves. They always want to blame the other person, which, you know, most fights, there's 2 stories to a you know, an argument or whatever. And if you find out the truth of what's going on before you jump to judge or do your fighting. I can't remember, but maybe on one hand, the serious fights.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that means a lot, because words are harder to forgive.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for your time.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
Hi, Linda. Thanks for the interview. How long have you been married, and how many marriages?
I'm not married. I'm widowed.
Oh, how long were you married for?
23 years.
Oh, how was that like?
It was an interesting life. My husband was a logger, which is very much what the big industry was in Humboldt County back in the day.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. How do you guys resolve conflict?
He went one way and I went the other, and then we came back after we both cooled off.
Yeah, 23 years together. What were the highs and lows of the relationship?
Just having a hard time communicating.
Oh, okay. What if the person had some kind of vice, alcohol, drugs, whatnot? How do you deal with those issues?
Well, you deal with them the best you can because it's everywhere. Never went into any kind of counseling. They didn't really have that much that day.
Back in the day. You guys were just committed together,
Right.
thick and thin.
Right.
Okay, there was no leaving, no divorce.
Not at that time, no, because we
okay.
had 2 kids.
Oh.
And so you deal with the bad times and you enjoy the good times.
Oh yeah. The fact that he had a job was important.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, that's
Absolutely.
like a
And
no.
He loved it.
Oh,
He
okay.
loved what he did.
Okay, so if he was homeless, didn't have a job, you probably would not have ended up with him.
No, definitely not. But that was a different generation.
Oh.
People had jobs. You didn't see as much homelessness. Very little homelessness. Of course, that was during the Vietnam War, and it was the aftermath of the Vietnam War that we started seeing, especially the rise in the issues that the vets came back from war with.
Oh, the mental,
Yes.
the traumatic,
Yes.
syndrome and stuff. Wow. What do you used to see back then that you don't see now? Chivalry, anything that you miss that, what do you, from the past generation that you miss?
It's the continuity, the family unit, the community. It's not the way it was. I mean, there were generations of families that lived in this community, and with the woods. The grandfathers worked in the woods, their sons worked in the woods, and then the grandsons worked in the woods. My son was the 3rd generation, and his son was the 4th generation of logging. Yeah.
The industry just continued on.
It did until the mid-'80s, when the lumber company down in Scotia was involved in a hostile takeover.
Oh, okay,
And, all of that security and all of that community.
There are generations of just careers down the line.
Exactly.
With the sawmill and the lumber.
Yeah.
Okay, not as much anymore.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, any last advice you want to leave to the younger generation as to how to have a happy relationship?
Be kind to yourself and be kind to others.
All right, well said.
Hi,
What's your name?
My name's Carolyn.
Carolyn, and yeah, just what type of dating and relationship advice do you recommend for the younger generation? Actually, let's start. How many marriages and how long have they lasted?
One marriage and it was 33 years.
I'm assuming it's to this guy.
Wrong.
Wrong. Never mind.
We've been together it'll be 2 years in October.
Oh, okay. So, tell us what kind of dating romance advice you've learned through the years.
I'm not sure I have any. I only had 15 mortifying minutes on the singles site before I decided old school of actually meeting people was the better way to go. Maybe I'm too old for online, that could be.
Oh, so online just didn't work out.
No, literally 15 minutes. It was mortifying.
So what happened with your previous marriage?
Oh, it's never one thing, is it? But yeah, time 30 some years, people can change.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well, that's fine. What kind of stuff do you miss from the old days that you don't see anymore? Any kind of chivalry or a courtship?
I'm not really my generation. I was born in the mid-60s, and I don't really probably agree with what a lot of my generation was. I mean, there was the women's movement and everything during that time, so I don't really think that. I think the way of equality is what was being preached in the 80s, and what we should follow.
Respect and
I think that's
equality.
the core of any relationship. It sounds corny,
No.
but if you can respect each other and seek to understand before seeking to be understood.
Communication is vital, is key.
That's about all there is. That's about all you can have with someone is communication and just core respect for them as a human. If you don't see them as another person, then it's not going to work.
What if the other person has a vice? Alcohol, drugs, or internet? What is it?
You can't set yourself on fire to keep them warm. There's only so much of yourself you can sacrifice. If they can't do it on their own, they're not going to be able to do it with you.
Okay, so just know where your boundaries are and just...
Exactly. And it's all that you see now is the boundary talk and everything like that is true. It used to be used to do anything for a marriage, and I don't really agree with that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, all right, thank you for your time.
Sure.